Hello Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here and welcome to the channel. And welcome to another episode of My Collecting Life, the weekly series where I get to chat with you, members of the toy collecting community, about your own personal collections, finding out what got you into collecting in the first place and what gives you that toy collecting buzz. So here we are again then, another week, another episode, and another guest. And who is the guest on this week's episode, I hear you will ask? Well, why don't we all find out? Sit yourselves down, put your feet up, make yourselves comfortable, and let's take a look at some of his collection in a musical montage. Alrighty then, so as I said in the intro, another week, another episode, another guest, and another absolutely tremendous collection. Wow. I couldn't get all of my next guest's photos in the intro, so what I'll do is I'll put some in the outro, so more photos of the collection to come. It is a pleasure to welcome to the channel for the first time Dan from Insane in the Toy Brain. Hello, sir. How are you?
Very good. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. It's been a
That's
been
my
a
way.
been a good day. It's been a good day. Well, mate, fantastic to actually get to speak to you. Awesome stuff. So I
know.
really appreciate you jumping on and taking part and being part of the series. Thank you, man.
And thank you for having me. Like I've really enjoyed watching a lot of. I haven't been up to date with every episode of the series,
Yeah.
but I do really enjoy it just to see the different aspects of people's collecting and just how they came from going out of playing with toys to get into collecting in their older
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
Like it's very interesting.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, everybody's got a story, and I just love the different variety.
100%.
I mean, I know it's predominantly Star Wars based because I mean, I think a lot of the guys that I chat to are roughly my age, and in that time, it was predominantly Star Wars. So it's nice to get people on like yourself and Scott Crusher, and the Aussie guys and other people at like Mask and Turtles and all that sort of stuff. So you got to have a bit of variety. So, as you know, I've got 10 questions for you, mate, all about you and your collection. Run time roughly about an hour. If we go over, not an issue. So
Yep.
if you're ready, sir, we're cracking with the first question.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. What toy lines were you into as a kid, and what memories do you have of those toy lines?
Okay, so as a kid, obviously you have you just everyday toys, nicks and knacks as you get as a real little one. But then
Yeah.
I got into around 3 years old. I got turtles bought for me for Christmas, and
Okay.
I've still actually got a photo of me with the turtle van and all that from Christmas. And yeah, so from then on, I just was prominently just playing with turtles for a good probably a year there, I'd say. It's very hard to remember exact memories, but
Yeah.
then I got into I'm big in the automotive trade and I was always into cars. So
Oh,
I got
well,
into
we've
like
got something in common then.
there you go. So I got into Matchbox cars
Oh,
and
okay.
just playing around with them and RC cars, stuff like that. What the best memories I got back is actually like how I could create something from nothing, pretty much like your imagination you've got as a kid,
Right.
where like you might not have a giant play set, but
Yeah.
you can make a play set out of pillows on the lounge, all that sort of stuff, and
Absolutely.
just
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So they're probably the memories I've got with the turtles. I'm an only child, so
Okay.
like if I had friends come over or something, I packed all my turtles away because I didn't want other kids ruining them, like
I'm liking
so
that. That is awesome. I think that's the first time
yeah.
I've heard that.
So I've actually got a lot of my original turtles from when I was a kid. Still,
Oh,
we
wow.
we cracked them out a
Wow.
couple of years ago now, but
Yeah.
and they are in pretty good nick. Like I'll buy a lot of toys and I'll see these like ones I get in the lot, and I'm like, what were these kids doing with these toys? But yeah, no, it's very hard to remember the exact memories of playing with
Yeah.
it as a kid, and where the era I was born in 1986. So by the time 1990 came around, I was getting my turtles, but then a lot of video game systems started coming out, like
Yeah.
Sega
Yeah.
Master System 2 came out. So I got kind of drifted off into gaming by that stage too.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I do definitely remember playing with them. I had train sets too, stuff like that. So I never really stuck on the one toy for too long. I drift upon different things. Like as you know, everyone's got a push bike majority of the time as a kid, so you'd be out riding that. And
Yeah. You spent a lot of time
yeah,
outside as well then, yeah?
yeah. I was definitely an athletic kid, so I used to play football. I'll call it. 'Cause I'm not gonna get in
No,
trouble
no,
here,
no, it's all right. We got yeah, yeah, all good.
but yeah, so I was always out playing that on weekends and stuff. So yeah, but
So what other major toy lines then would have been around? Because you said you were born in '86, so that was pretty much the end of Star Wars. Star Wars are pretty much gone by
yeah,
then. I think G.I.
yeah.
Joe was still quite big up until I think the late '80s, early '90s, maybe into the early '90s. Was that something that you were ever interested in or not really? Then you had like stuff like
To
Motu and
yeah, to be honest, I think I used to be like I'd have blinkers on. So
okay.
I didn't even know Motu. I didn't really know like I knew him, but I didn't know
Yeah.
like want to even play with them. I think I'd see an ad on TV and that's when I'd go for that toy. Like as in later on in life I got into the Mighty Max toys and
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
but once I got into that one toy, I'd stick with it for that period of time and just wouldn't
Okay.
look at anything else. So that's probably why my turtles are in such good nick. So that
Yeah.
as soon as I got
Awesome.
over them, they got packed in a box and put away. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, it's really weird. Like I could tell you who He-Man was, but I couldn't at the same time tell you who any of the other characters were back then. I just didn't know them, and I
Did
didn't
you
really
not watch
focus
any of
on
them
them.
on like on morning TV or after school TV and stuff like that?
So I had
Excuse
I
me.
was with my mother. It was just me and my mum. So I had
Yeah.
before school care and after school care, so I missed out on all the little morning cartoons because we'd have to get
Oh,
up
okay.
so early to get there
Yeah, yeah,
to get
yeah.
me to school. So the only cartoons I remember as a kid mostly was Saturday cartoons, which were majority Disney. So it was
Right.
like Tailspin and DuckTales and
Yeah,
all,
yeah,
all
yeah,
those sorts
yeah.
of things. So I
Gummy
do
bears,
have memories
Woswalls, all
of
that sort of stuff.
yeah, I do have memories of them, but yeah, just wasn't into playing with toys from them. I was just cartoons. But like I said, the video
Okay.
games really took over. If I had to say I collected something as a kid, it would have been die-cast cars. Like I'd always collect like the 1 in 18, I think scale it is. So I'd have
Yeah.
they were probably the only thing I really collected. Like they'd go on the shelf and didn't really do anything with them. They're more just to look at, but and dust constantly. But yeah, no, like I wouldn't have called myself a collector when I was a kid. I just was obviously just playing with the toys. And
But what kid would have called themselves a collector? Because do you know what I mean? I look back and I'd look at my childhood and I would, I couldn't imagine me back then thinking, oh no, I'm not taking it out the card.
no,
The first instance, the kid would go into a toy shop, get that figure, and as soon as he's got that figure, he'd be ripping it open and playing with it. Do you know what I mean? Or as soon as he got home,
100%,
you know what I mean?
100%. Like
I couldn't imagine kids those days, you know, keeping card figures on cards or vehicles in
nah.
boxes. Do you know what I mean?
I think the one thing I missed was I've heard other collectors where their parents are probably collectors too. So you hear where
Yeah, yeah.
they've kept their card backs. And I'm like,
Okay,
I
yeah.
don't even remember seeing mine 5 minutes after I got it. Like I just pulled it straight off the card, and I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
my mum was just like, "Well, that's rubbish now,"
yeah.
So like she didn't like wasting the money on the toys, but she didn't like rubbish laying around either.
I mean, we
So
kept the card backs, like the Star Wars cards, and we'd keep
yeah,
those. So
I
we'd
wish I did.
take the figures off the bubble, and then we'd just have the card back. But back in
Yep,
the day, you had special offers, so you cut the little coupons out the back of the card, or
yeah,
you cut the name pill out the back of the card.
yeah,
We kept the
yeah.
card just for the image and like the pictures on the back and the figures that you could get.
Yeah, yeah, mail aways and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
That's
it.
one thing I miss about the toys these days. Like you don't hear much of that sort of stuff getting.
No,
Like,
no, it
no
is a
one's
shame,
giving
isn't
up
it? I mean,
toys for free anymore.
because I think you know, I don't know. I would say probably for your age group, you had the Turtles, and then I think after that, the next big thing was probably the Power Rangers. I want to
Yeah,
say, and I think that was the last real massive toy line, as far as I can remember, because I can't think of anything. I mean, I could be wrong, but I
no,
couldn't think of anything after the Power Rangers that had that longevity. Do you know what I mean?
I think yeah, like with that, there wasn't many more TV shows, like cartoon shows, where they really pumped the toys out.
Yeah.
Where I think it more went into like movies, like you've got like the Small Soldier line was like a movie, so they brought some toys out for that. But you can't
Mm.
say it's anywhere near like that's the thing I love about Turtles, and
Yeah.
probably you yourself with Star Wars is look how long that line is. Like you can start. There's 3 generations, 4 generations of collectors in those
Yeah.
toys, because like
Yeah.
Turtles started in what 88 and they're still going today. They're still pumping out figures from this new movie. So
Yeah.
I don't collect a lot of it, that's for sure, because there's just too much.
Well,
And
I think when you talk about Star Wars, I mean, back then it was just Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. So
yeah,
that was it. You had 96 Kenner figures, and then the vehicles. That was it. So
yeah,
we, as far as we were concerned, that was the end of the Star Wars line. And then
mhm,
you come into the mid 90s, and then you had the Power of the Force line. So it's not. It's only since you had the prequels, and then the sequels, and then all the new TV series for Star Wars that you're getting all these extra characters that are coming out,
yeah,
and that's what's selling. That
yeah,
they're giving us new characters. I mean, it would be pretty boring if you just got the same figures. Well, they're
oh,
giving us the same figures now, aren't they? Really, with like bloody Mandalorians and stuff like that. But it's the same with the turtles. I mean, there's only 4 main character turtles, and yet the amount
mhm,
of versions that you got of those turtles
oh.
is frightening. It really is frightening.
And
It's a massive
that's
line.
one thing that I've always said when we started collecting. Like we're only been doing it for 2 years now, but
Mm,
so with the turtles, I've always just wanted to get the characters, every character, so in
yeah,
the line. So basically, all those little variants of different turtles, like sewer squirting, and the birthday one, and there's all different types. I
Yeah.
don't really aim to get them yet. There'll be like the end of the line if I try to get them all, you know. But yeah, I like to get like every character. I think I'd be the same like as if I was Star Wars or something. I wouldn't look for variants. I'd be going for like trying to get every character. So then you've got the lot. You can look at it and go, well, that's a complete basically character set. But,
yeah. I mean, you look at the
not,
TVC line. I mean, they're up to over 300 figures in that line now. That's massive. That is
insane.
huge. You know,
that's insane.
Mad.
Like it's the cost there when you look at it, it'll just be it's astronomical.
It's frightening. Well, especially the way like the figures are going up in costings now. It's just it's rude. So what was it that got you into the Turtles then? Was it the actual animated series, or was it your mum just got you the figures and go, there you go?
So I'd say it would have been the animated series or like an advert probably really hammered me. I know I had 2 VHSs as a kid, which I think had 2 episodes each on it. 2 of them were from the first season and then 2 of them were from the second season of the line.
Yeah.
Because the first season was only 5 episodes. So it's pretty short. But then the second season really ramped up. But yeah, I just remember constantly, like I said, I didn't get the cartoons in the morning as a child, so I didn't get to see a lot of the season. So I had 4 episodes, but those 4 episodes got hammered. Like I was just constantly watching them. Then you obviously got the 1990 movie. So we had that on VHS as a kid, so I'd constantly watch that. I didn't go to the cinema to watch it, but yeah, so I'd say it'd be the cartoon would have hit me first. It's very hard to remember.
Yeah.
And then I was very lucky. My mum spoiled me in a way for Christmas one year, and I got the van. I got the 4 turtles.
Man, I bet that must have been an awesome Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think I had almost every bad guy. I pretty much got the first 10 sort of thing they brought out. So yeah, I was really getting into it then, and then it faded away so quick, Phil, because that is true. So like I sorry about that.
That's all right.
Talking to Treasury. But so yeah, it just faded away so quick where I didn't get anything else. I got one other vehicle after that, which was a Foot Cruiser, which was a bad guy vehicle, and the blimp. But after that, I didn't get any more. So when I got into my adulthood and I started looking into them, I was just blown away by how many there were because I had no clue. You know?
No, I mean it is a massive line, and that's one of the reasons why I've not dipped my toes into that certain pool yet, because it's just huge and it would scare me. But I just want to go back to when you said about when your friends come around, you used to put your toys away, your turtles away. I mean, that's insane. Insane in the toy brain. That's probably why you've gone and been insane in the toy brain. But I've never heard of that before. What was the reasoning behind that?
I seen how they see a lot of my friends had older brothers and that, so I'd see their toys and I'd be like, I don't want any of mine to turn out looking like that. But I never thought back then that it probably went through two kids already. So but yeah, it wasn't that bad. I kept a lot of toys out, like just nicks and knacks. And like I said, we were always outside playing, like riding bikes, and I was a big outdoors kid. I didn't really like being inside unless I had a video game console. That kind of ruined it for me.
Would it have disappointed you? Would it have disappointed you if, say, for example, you did leave your turtles out and stuff like that, and they got damaged or they ended up in a bad way? I mean, would that have upset you?
I think because of the way I was raised, my mum was very frivolous. Like she's from a Scottish background, so she's like very if we buy something, you got to look after it, you know. So I think because of the way she drummed it in my head, I probably would have been because, and it's more the fact of I didn't do that to it. Someone else did it. I looked after it all this time, and then someone's damaged it. It kind of, it would have ticked me off probably a little bit. But that being said, too, you're a kid, so I probably would have just got over it within 5 minutes. You know.
Yeah.
Sucked it up. But.
Moving on, what was your favorite toy line and why? Or I mean, because I know you've said that you were very sort of like tunnel vision. Once you're into a toy line, that was it. You were sticking with that toy line for a certain period of time until something else come along. I mean, have you got do you have one specific favorite, or can you just say like at that time that was my favorite, then this time this was my favorite?
That's a very, very hard question, that one. It'd have to be, it's hard to answer from back then. Like now I'd say Turtles.
Yeah.
But probably back then, I'd probably say Mighty Max was one of my favorites because it was
Okay.
just, it was so out there, like it was like, as you know, Mighty Max kind of like came from like a Polly Pocket sort of
That's it.
design.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
just the reason I'm saying it's like favorite is because of like opening up the packaging and you don't know what's in it. And then you start and find all the little trap doors inside the play set and the different thing, like the art design and the way it was sculpted out just to make it look like, for example, one looks like a snake. So a lot of the features inside of it's a snake, but then inside, like deep inside, is like a mummy's tomb sort of thing. So
Okay.
it's kind of, it's just, yeah, it was a real cool toy line. It really brings back a bit of memory where I get
Yeah.
to, just figure new things out. And I get that with Turtles these days. Like I don't,
Yeah.
a lot of the figures that I buy now, I do research to see what they've got in them, but I don't actually know exactly what they do. So, like for example, I bought a half court figure recently, which is like it's a tall giraffe, and I didn't know that he had a neck feature
Yeah.
where his neck extends. So, like me buying that figure was kind of like opening it as a kid again and figuring all these new things
Yeah.
out, like off card back, which I wasn't on card. I bought it complete, but it was just cool to have that. Oh wow, like I didn't know
Yeah.
I did that. And I think that's one of the things that really ticks my goal, like about collecting, is figuring out all these new little quirky things about toys that I haven't owned personally, but
Okay.
I've got now. And yeah, I
So
think that's why Mighty Max is a big one for me.
was Transformers would have been around about that time, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
Was you
so
interested in Transformers? Because I mean, they sort of like were transformed.
yeah, I've got I actually didn't get it in photos because the stickers are going to be ratty on it. I want to redo
Okay.
it. I've actually got the original Optimus Prime with the truck.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I watched a bit of the show as a kid, but like I said, I just didn't have I didn't have the time schedule because like it's not like these days you can just put on YouTube and watch an episode
No,
of
that's it.
something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had to be there to see it,
Yeah.
or you had to try record it, be there to press the record button or set up the timer and that. But yeah, so I wasn't huge on Transformers, but I did have an Optimus as a kid, so
Yeah.
I definitely loved playing with that toy. It was fun. It was one of those toys too where even these days, like that's why I'm so scared of getting into Transformers, is because buying them, I'm worried about the bits breaking, trying to transform them and all that sort of stuff, because they are a
Okay.
bit
Yeah.
intricate
Yeah.
sometimes. Like that's like my
Yeah.
missus into the Rock
Well,
Lords,
I
which is
mean, so on just on that subject quickly, I mean,
yeah.
you're saying about the toys are like the Transformers are intricate and all that sort of stuff. Do you feel the quality of toys are as good today as what they were back then in the 80s and the 90s, or do you think the
No.
quality's dropped off somewhat?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
The quality of plastics dropped off. Quality controls dropped off hard too. I find like
Yeah.
they're releasing stuff like there's so many things in that new Turtle line that been released where the eyes are wonky or one eye is actually missing the pupil. So yeah,
Wow.
so they're being released like that. Like for example, I've got a 2-year-old daughter and we bought her a
Yeah.
party wagon for Christmas, which is the
Okay. Oh,
turtle
wow.
party wagon. So there's missing pieces obviously off it because we don't like playing with like that. But
Yeah.
the stickers were already put on, which was really weird to actually have a toy with the stickers already put on. But
Yeah.
they're all got big crease lines in them. So there's massive crease
Really?
lines, stickers on the back and the front. So
Wow.
yeah, like when I got that, I was pretty bit devo that I wish that it were just I could do the stickers myself because it would
Yeah.
look a hell of a lot better for her. But that being said, too, like you look at the price of some of these toys, it's understandable why the quality is down. But then there is ones out there that are pretty pricey and the quality's still pretty rubbish. But
Yeah.
the
I
one
was
thing I
gonna
don't
say,
like,
I mean, you know, I mean, even back in the 80s, I mean, the thing is, back then toys were meant to be played with, and I guess, you know, thinking about it, they still are. But
100%.
we kind of had like issues with, you know, some of the Cobra, the G.I. Joe stuff was quite flimsy. You got the hovercraft, the whale, and you got
Yeah.
the little arms, and you had the missile turret that would swing up and down on it, and it was only like a real thin piece of plastic. You know, that could quite easily snap. Or you get the landing gear on a Cobra Rattler. I mean, that was always prone to to break in, and we used to, you know, play with these things and bang them about.
Exactly.
Um,
Very true.
so it's not like I don't think it's not the quality issues have been, you know, a new thing. I mean, they, you know, they were in the past, back in the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. Do you think it's because, like, you know, you got things like social media, YouTube, all that sort of stuff, and you got these people that are reviewing the toys and all that sort of stuff, that they're actually highlighting these issues more now than what they were back in the day?
100%. Like, I don't collect any of the Mutant Mayhem figures, but
Yeah.
that's the only reason I've seen some of the quality issues is because of online. Like, seeing someone post a picture online about it, and I'm like, okay, fair enough. Like, I've noticed it with a couple of things like that we have purchased, not the greatest, but it's true. Like you said with the GI Joe, a lot of that stuff was flimsy plastic, and now you're trying
It
to
was,
complete those. Like, I know someone tried to complete the whale recently, and the fins on the back, they're always broken. You know,
yeah,
so it's kind
yeah.
of
I mean, look, I when I did my restoration of the whale, the one thing I couldn't get was an intact original piece for the fins on the back.
yeah,
You know, I went repro. So, you know, there's
yeah,
a guy in the States that did them. So I ordered a set off him, and they're on there and they're fine. You know, the way it's angled, you're not going to know that they're repro anyway. But
no.
yeah,
So
I
I
mean,
do a lot of 3D printing myself, so
yeah, yeah.
I can get down with that. Like, I got no problem with the
Mm.
repros. The only issue is you got to be careful with the aftermarket, like people trying to flog stuff off with repo parts. But
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean,
with
look, I mean, I don't agree with that. I mean, I've got like Stan Solo figures in my original '96. I think I've got one Luke Skywalker, Storm Shadow, one Blue Snaggletooth, and then I've got two figures that were never released, which is the Slave Leia and Ula. Now, if I ever did sell or that was moved on, I would say, you know, these are Stan Solo. They're not original pieces.
yeah,
I don't have any problem with people collecting repro parts because, I mean, look, today's prices are absolutely astronomical for some
oh,
certain things, and you know, with the current climate and financial situation with people, I can't justify myself spending that amount of money on a bit of plastic. You know, 3 3/4 inch
no,
figure, you're looking at over 100 odd quid now, maybe more for some of them. But
yeah. A little
yeah,
tiny gun, you know, like
yeah, yeah,
what are you paying for some of those
yeah,
parts? You know, like some of the
yeah,
TMT parts too are very expensive, like for some of the top end figures. So
yeah.
like one figure I got in the collection, which is I've only got one weapon for, but he comes with another 3 weapons, but you're looking at about 150 a weapon, you know. So
Just for the
it gets
weapons.
it gets
Mad, isn't
really
it?
ridiculous.
Wow.
There's only
Wow.
certain figures, like there was a
Yeah.
lot of rare figures that didn't have they were at the end of the line, so they didn't get
Mm,
mass released. There might have been one in a case of figures that they sent out to a shop. So
mm.
that's where it makes it very rare. What annoys me is when you find a figure that's missing all those weapons, you're like, what did someone do with these? What vacuum cleaner caught them
Well,
up?
that's
Or
it. I mean, you know, back in the 80s, you had the old big thick shag pile, didn't you? You drop a
yep,
weapon in there, that's
exactly
it. That
right.
was gone. You'd spend hours looking for it, or it had gone. I mean, it's probably the
Yep.
best thing to do was hoover it up, then just go through the rubbish. And but
Oh,
didn't think
very
about that in
true.
those
I
days.
remember I
You
had to do
think
it with
about it.
Lego a couple of times with I think it was my grandparents' carpet. They had the real shaggy carpet, and yeah, you'd lose a little Lego piece in
So
there.
you were into Lego as well as a kid, then?
So yeah, I did play for Lego a bit as a kid. I had a couple of the pirate sets,
Yeah.
and that is actually one of the big reasons how we got into collecting. More recent too was Lego was the first thing we got onto. So
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
yeah,
we'll come to that in a little bit. Well, actually, no.
yeah,
We'll move on to that. So, when did you stop playing with your toys, and when did you become a collector? So, I'm
okay.
guessing you know the Lego was the first thing that you got back into collecting again. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've stopped playing with my toys. Probably would have been around the age of. It's a hard thing. Like over the years, it would have been maybe around 10 years old. I started like
Wow.
really
Really that
getting
young?
into.
That young?
Yeah, uh, I had stages, so I'd go back to them. You know, like
Yeah.
I'd like I said, I was doing sport, so with the
Okay.
soccer still
Yeah.
football. Sorry, I did it again. Um, but yeah, with the season for that, like you'd only play for the winter months, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So once that's over, I guess I would have pulled maybe some toys out and like I said, I had a massive train set. That was probably the one my mother hated the most because it took up half the living room and would you'd bring that out, play with it for 20 minutes, and then be like, "Oh, can I pack it away now?" You know. So it was
I mean, I mean, to be fair, what is there to do with the train set? You set it up, and then you watch it go around the track 3 or 4 times. I thought, do you know what I mean?
No, the worst part too is
not being like derogatory to people who collect train sets. You know, it's their passion. But for me, oof.
It's like the Skeletric sets. You used to get the ones with the cars too. So like you pull them out. And half the time too, because they've been sitting in storage, you get a little film bit of rust on top of on the line. So you'd have to sit there and stand it back to get it to actually work properly. Or your train would go around and stop. But 100%, like I think it was more the imagination thing. You could kind of role play with it a little bit, and I think that's why I got into. Maybe that's why I got into.
How do you role play with a train?
I don't know. Like
what kind of fetish is that?
You pretend to be a train driver. I honestly don't know what I used to do with them, but I do remember with Matchbox cars, I used to kind of have a real good imagination with them. So I'd pretend. This is younger age. So I'd pretend I was in the car and the cops were chasing me or something like that. Like I had so many different Matchbox.
Did you with the cars? Did you have the little floor mat with the painted roads on it and stuff like that?
Sure did. Yeah. So like, I don't collect any of the Matchbox anymore. I do have. I've seen some ones online of I don't know if you ever seen them. They're a Matchbox car, but they got a crash. Like there's got one panel on it that crashes. So when you hit it against something, it spins around. It shows you like an indented door.
Oh wow, no, not.
And like I started collecting them recently, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like these things were designed to smash against each other, so that you're not going to find them in good nick at all. So the 2 examples I have found are rough as guts. So I guess it's just one of those little nostalgia things. I didn't have that as a kid, but when I seen it, I was like, well, I wish I had that as a kid. That would have been so cool.
Did you take your toys outside in the garden? Because I remember I used to take my cars out in the garden. I used to do dirt tracks and stuff like that. And
100%. Used to make jumps and
that's
I think Matchbox was that's why I probably played with them more so, because I really didn't care too much of them getting damaged, because that's what they're designed to. They're metal. You know, I was always scared of plastic breaking. You know, so but so and then to get to the story of getting into collecting, I think it was Christmas 21 we started looking into Lego sets, and we bought the big Nintendo one. So it's like a Nintendo with a TV and it's a really massive set. To be honest, it's still in box because we ended up having a child not long after that. We just haven't had the time to build it. But so we started getting big into watching like Lego on YouTube. And just watching all different types of YouTubers out there for Lego. And as you know, you might walk away from the TV and the video will end and it'll go to the next video.
Yeah.
So I think what happened was a toy collector came on, and it had like, I can't remember who exactly it was, but he had Ninja Turtles. And it was these big fellas behind me, the quarter scale movie turtles. And I fell in love with them straight away. And I'm like, God, I really, really, really want to collect them. They're awesome looking. And I'm looking up prices, and they're like, I think at the time they were $2.99 each. So
wow, what, those big ones?
Yeah. So you can, I think you can get them a bit cheaper now, but they're a little bit different. These are the Series 1s ones. So I think the masks, just the paint apps are a little bit slightly different. But so we looked at them, and I'm like, well, that's a lot of money to pay out. So, but we kept watching.
$299. Oh, $299.
$299.
Oh, when you said $2.99, I thought you meant as in like $2.99. I was going to say, wow.
No,
sorry, my
God,
God.
I had hundreds of them. But but yeah, so we put it on the back burner, and we kept watching some toy videos, me and the wife, because she's into it too. She loves a nostalgia hit. And so yeah, we're watching it, and a toy fair was coming up, and Monique, my wife, sent me the link, and she goes, "Oh, do you want to go to this?" And it's a local toy fair, and to be honest, Stu, it's about 3 minutes away from our house. I can literally walk there. It's in a sports hall down the road.
Oh, wow.
Like a big basketball stadium.
Yeah.
And so we went to it, and we're walking along the aisles, and we're just looking. The next second, these the all four brothers were there, plus the undercover one, which is Raph with the trench coat on, which is a lot rarer one. They're a lot harder to find. But and the guy wanted I think he wanted $800 for it or something like that for the lot. And I'm like, God, that's a hell of a good deal. And then he goes, but I'll do it for $700 for you. And I'm like, man, I didn't. This was like, you got to remember too. This is my first ever toy fair I've gone to. I haven't got into collecting. Haven't got any of this. Like, I've got my original toys still at my mother's, and so I looked at the wife and she goes, "If you don't do it, I'm doing it." And I'm like, she goes, "I know you really want these."
Wow.
And I go, "Okay, let's see what we can do." So I go to him. I did talk him down. I said, "What about $650?" And he goes, "Oh, okay, if it's cash." So I went to the ATM, big lineup, and I'm like, I don't want to miss. I know if I line up at the ATM, someone else is going to come along and give him the $800.
Yeah.
So I quickly ran back to him. I said, "Listen, have you got a tap, like the tap card reader? I'll pay the fees. I don't care." So he goes, yeah, no problem. So tap them. Next second, me and Monique are walking out because they come in big boxes.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah,
we've got 5 of them, plus she's got 2 Boglins that she picked up. So the first toy fair we're coming out of, we're walking out of there like just piled with toy like boxes over our head. And we get home super psyched. Like we've got them. You know, we were looking at them 2 weeks ago on YouTube, and we're like, nah, it's not going to happen at those prices. But now we've got them. So we got home. We put them down. We're like, how do we display these things? Like we don't have no cabinets. We've got no shelving where you're going to fit all these brothers, like all these turtles on. So next second, back online looking for cabinets, and I'm like, I can't just buy. Like, we're looking at the IKEA Detolf, which we've got them. We've got the Audi versions now, but as you know, they're not real big, so pretty much one shelf would be taken up 1/4 scale.
Yeah.
Or actually 2 shelves, really, because they're high too. So we'd have to take out shelves. So pretty much I'd need almost 2.5 cabinets to display them. So I'm like, all right, we're going to have to look at something custom here. So we had a look online. We found a shop fitter who would build a cabinet for us. So we got this one done. So and in the same time as I'm doing that, my wife's like, she loves Iron Man. So she's like,
oh yeah, great call, great shout, awesome. I like your wife. Wow, I love Iron Man.
She loves Iron Man. Yeah, big fan. And she's actually quite annoyed I forgot to send you her Iron Man pop collection. But yeah, that happens. But yeah, so she's got online and had a look, and they had 1/4 scale of Iron Man up there and a 1/4 scale of Deadpool. And what they were damaged stock. So there were the boxes were slightly damaged. Right. So I think she scored them for like 150 a piece or something, which was really, really good price. So I said, all right, let's buy them. So we went from having nothing to like having 7 1/4 scales, no other toys, you know. So we said, stuff it, we've got to get this cabinet. We got the cabinet to display them, and then I said, well, now the cabinet looks a bit naked. I've got a couple of like spots where I can fit more stuff. I'm going over to Mum's to see where my old turtles was. So I get to my mother's, find a tote full of turtles, bring it back, and yeah, then it just escalated from there. It just
must have been so cool though, going to your mum's and getting that tote of turtles and stuff like that, and then seeing them again. I mean, how long had it been since you?
Mate, it would have had to have been 25 years. Probably. It was a long time. Like, I might have seen, because I have some vehicles over there too. I do go in the garage and that every now and then, but I have seen them, but not like pulled them out and actually held them in my hands. I just like seen if they were still there. Oh shit, still have them, you know. But yeah, so to get them back here and then pull them apart and see what was missing, and to be honest, there was nothing missing from my original set.
Yeah,
I was actually very lucky that I packed them away very good. But yeah, so it was very interesting to see like what I had too, and it was like stepping back in time, sort of thing. Like you got those little oh wow, I remember this as a kid. Oh, I forgot I had this.
That must
I
have been
forgot I had the
awesome.
skateboard, Cheap Skate, which was
Yeah.
one I just totally blanked out about having as a kid. But yeah, so
How
it
cool is
definitely
that?
was a hell of a nostalgia hit.
So what?
But
So I mean, crikey! I mean, what is it? We're just half an hour through, and I've still got loads of questions to ask you. This, I mean,
sorry,
yeah, this
man.
is awesome. No worries,
I
mate.
do
Don't worry
very
about
well.
that. What toy lines do you currently collect?
Okay, so it's I try to narrow it down to like very minimum. Like what I do is each year I might add a new one. So
Mm.
like I said, we've only been when we bought these, that was March 2022.
Yeah,
So that's how long we've been collecting for.
not long
So
then.
so obviously I haven't added a lot, but like this year I said to myself, I'm gonna start trying to chase down some Beetlejuice figures
Okay,
from
yeah,
the vintage
interesting.
line of Beetlejuice. Like I
Yeah.
just really love the way some of their play
Mm.
features work and that. And I haven't bought one figure yet, and we're already not halfway through the year. But I bought a lot of turtle figures, so that ends up
Yeah, well,
being
you can
probably
never,
the
you can
one I
never
go
have
to the
enough turtles.
most. But a bit of everything. So I look for things that I watched as a kid, like
Yeah.
Darkwing Duck. I watched as a kid,
Okay.
DuckTales,
Yeah.
Tailspin, all those sorts of things. Like I said, I watched on Saturday Disney. So I do try to aim to collect some of that stuff too.
Yeah.
I've got this new little bug now where I have to collect a watch from every toy line that I've got. So I look for
Okay.
vintage watches, like they're kids' watches. They ain't gonna fit
Oh,
my
I know the
wrist.
ones you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I find like because I'm a loose collector, I look
Yeah.
for mock versions of the watches. I want them on
Okay.
card. So like we've got one from the Turtles, which has actually been signed by Kevin Eastman. We got it
Yeah.
signed to my daughter, sort of thing, because she kind of won it in a raffle. It was her birthday number, so we can't say she won it.
Yeah.
But dinosaurs. So the old dinosaurs TV
Yes.
show.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife's actually she's just started collecting those. She just
Yeah,
started
so
collecting
my
those. So
wife
yeah.
got the little mini collection of figures from the 90s of that. So then when a
Okay.
watch came up, we seen a watch on card for one of them. I said, well, we better get this, and it can sit behind the display.
Yeah.
With Darkwing Duck too, I started collecting a little. There's not a lot with Darkwing Duck. There is figures, but they
Yeah.
can be very hard to find. So a lot of it is like McDonald's toys and that
Okay.
they
Yeah.
brought out.
I saw the McDonald's toys in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Loads
so
of McDonald's toys.
Yeah, so that being said, I was at a toy fair about a year ago now, and one of our mates he's a toy reseller, but he's a lovely bloke. He comes to all the fairs, and I normally have to pick something up off him every time I go there. I don't know if you get that too when you go to fairs. You half the time you're getting stuff while you're lining up to get in of
Yeah.
stuff you've purchased,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
so he comes over to me. He goes, "Oh, check." He knows I love Darkwing Duck, and he loves it too. And he goes, "Oh, check this out." And he's held up his wrist, and he's got this watch on. I'm like, "Oh man, how did you get that? Where'd you get that from?" And he goes, "Oh, I had to get it from overseas." And I started looking them up, and I'm like, "I'm not going to pay that price. So I'll just wait." Long and behold, the next toy fair we go to, boom, sitting there on card on the shelf for $25. I'm like, "Yep, mine." So that
Awesome.
came home with us. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I tell people I'm a vintage watch collector too, but yeah, well, they laugh when they see what type of
Yeah. Yeah.
watches they
Toy
are.
watches.
They're
I think
definitely
it's
not no
great.
Rolexes.
I was going to say, I think it's great that your wife collects as well. I'm just going to enlarge you because you've got those fugly things or whatever you call them. I mean,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
are. Oh, what is it? What is the appeal about those? I mean, the teeth on those things are just absolutely awful. And I've got to stay careful when I walk in the store in the
mate,
UK.
they're not great looking. They
No, but I mean,
they
what's
don't
the
do it for
fascination with
me.
why is your wife so fascinated with those? What is it with those that she likes?
She loves weird looking things, obviously. So yeah, yeah, no. So what I find so amazing about my wife's collection, and it cracks me up, is she's born in 1993, so she's a lot younger than me. But
Okay.
a lot of her collection is pre-90s. So like
Oh,
she loves Rock Lords. They came out in what, 84, I think it
well, yeah,
was.
yeah. Crikey.
Even
Yeah, yeah.
before I was born. She loves the Boglins,
Wow.
which came out in the 80s. Like a lot of these, they're all re-released. Well, not
Yeah,
re-released, these are the modern ones. The one up the
yeah.
top is a vintage Boglin. And
Wow.
she's got a couple of other vintage in cabinets. But a lot of her toy lines that she collects, she wasn't even born. So like
That's
the
crazy.
Voltron stuff, that's all her uncle's stuff from back in the day. So she played
Wow.
with that as a kid.
Wow.
So that's why it's in the collection.
I
So
think
yeah,
that is
some of the stuff,
absolutely awesome. That is awesome. That is
yeah.
so cool.
So but yeah, she's a weird one. She'll collect if it's strange looking, and a lot of people like, ooh, that's why would you want to collect that? She's like, well, I want to
Yeah,
collect the
well, I
figure,
can, like, yeah, those fugly things or whatever you want to call them. They are, like I say, I
yeah.
see them in the toy stores in the UK, and I just the teeth. It's the teeth.
I think they're the new pop vinyl by the looks of it. Like they're
Are they?
really starting
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah. No,
catch over here
not for
where
me.
they
Not for me. Not for me.
nah.
They give me nightmares.
I do like the crossover ones, like the turtles, just because it adds to the turtle collection, I suppose. But it's not something that I would go out and purchase.
No, no, I'm not surprised. Do you have a sentimental or a prized piece within your collection?
Sentimental would have to be okay. So these ones do have a story, and what it is,
Okay,
I've have got them. I can actually show you.
yeah, go for it.
So they're called the Mega Mutants. They're from
Okay,
the
oh wow,
TMT line. So you probably heard like Scott Crusher and that he's talked about these, or like a Grail piece for him. Now these being sentimental to me is
yeah,
the way I got them. So what
okay,
happened was we went up to a toy fair up at Newcastle, which is about 3 hours away from us.
yeah,
And there was a guy there that we already knew who was a massive toy collector, and he is a toy seller too, but he was starting to cut down a lot of his collection. And he had both of them there for sale, and he was selling them as a group pair. And I was itching for them, and they were like, I think he wanted $400 for the pair of them, which is pretty reasonable price because at the time they were around 250 each, so it was
yeah,
$100
yeah,
savings. And I looked at them like, we had some bills at the time, regos coming up on cars, and I'm just like, I don't want to go spending that sort of money, you know. So
yeah.
I don't get me wrong, I was kicking myself the whole drive home, but you do those things. You got to be careful sometimes with what you're doing
Absolutely, absolutely.
and things and that. So yeah, I got home, and then a month, two went by, and then we had this big fair that's just around the corner from us, which we call it's called CollectorCon. So
Okay,
I think we have about 6 of them a year in different.
wow.
It might be 7 now because there's another one that's opened up.
Yeah,
But anyway, so we went to this fair, and I didn't know anything about this. I knew I was picking up, I think it was one figure off Owen, which is the guy who had these figures. And my wife had already talked to Scott Crusher about it. So he was kind of hanging around with us, and I'm like, this is a bit strange. Why is he hanging there? Whatever. Maybe because we're at the same table. We love turtles,
yeah, yeah,
and we are mates, obviously. But he was standing a bit too close, so it kind of made me twitch a little bit. But anyway, so I go to Owen. Oh, here's the money for that figure that I owe you, and he hands me this box. And as you know, like a figure's only this big, but this box was huge, and I'm like,
yeah,
what the hell's going on here? So, and at the same time, I'm looking at the side of my eye, and Scott's got his camera going. This is strange. This is really, really strange. And you can find this on one of his YouTube videos. But so I open up the box, and there's a foot soldier and the figure that I bought there. And I'm like, and he goes, oh, I threw in a foot soldier. And nothing against Owen. He's a lovely fella, but he doesn't give stuff away for free. Like he's in it to make money, at the end
yeah,
of the day,
yeah,
like
yeah,
a lot of people are. But he is a lovely guy. He does give good deals and that, so I can't knock him there. But yeah, so then I pull apart a little bit of bubble wrap, and there they are, the 2 Mega Mutants. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I just look up at him and go, my wife, didn't she? And yeah, so basically what she done was after the Newcastle show, she got in contact with him and purchased these Mega Mutants, and then told everyone around me to not let me buy them. Like, don't let me buy them elsewhere if we go anywhere. So all the boys knew to kind of block me. And
yeah,
I think even Scott said, don't worry, if one comes up, I'll buy it. Like, I'll jump and snipe him, I'll take it out of his hands. So yeah, so it was a massive surprise. So that's where it's kind of got that
yeah,
sentimental value to me. Like it's not that something I had as a child and that, like I do have my original turtles as a kid,
yeah,
which they mean a lot to me, but it's it's just a surprise. And then having I'm a lucky man to have a wife that does those sorts of things, you know, like.
Well, look, listen. I think it's absolutely fantastic that your wife's is into collecting just as much as you are. I mean, I know I can feel the same way. Not about your wife, obviously, because I don't know her, but my
Yeah,
wife, she collects, and like
love it.
absolutely brilliant. And there's many a time when Georgie said to me, "If you see it and you like it, get it, because you might not see it again." I mean,
100%.
that's just like
You
red
have
back to
to.
the boys. Like I like a lot of stuff, Georgie,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, yeah, you know, you got to be sensible, obviously. But yeah, I mean, you're going round with Georgie at these toy fairs and meeting up with people and stuff like that. It's just great, and I'm absolutely thrilled that she can be part of it as well, and she's part of the community, which is fantastic. I'm you know, really pleased for her and happy for her. Absolutely.
And the community is so accepting too. Like, I know, like, I've been
Yeah,
in car clubs and stuff like that, and you take your wife to an event like that, and people don't want to talk. Like, my wife's she's a tomboy, and that's how my daughter's kind of raised too. Like,
yeah,
so when she goes to a car event and people got their wives there too, the wives are only there to gossip and stuff like that. Where my
yeah,
wife's not into that shit. She wants to
yeah.
get into and have a look at the cars and all that sort of stuff. So, but they don't accept it as much. But with the toy community, they just all open you with arms. You know, they just
Oh,
it's
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
very
I mean, you know, it's like last year with Celebration. I mean, so we did a massive gaggle of us went, and we all like sat and in the Costa, and we had a couple of tables and we put them together and stuff, so people just come and go as they please. And my
yep.
wife sort of went off, and she went off looking, and she went off around with Adam Berry, and she goes, "Oh, I better get back." And Adam's going, "No, stay with me, love, stay with me. You know, come on, we're going to have a look. We'll play this game." And so, you know, and it just the fact that people have accepted George into the community as well. I look, listen, it's absolutely incredible, and it does mean a lot, and you know, and it's great because you know, knowing like what Georgie's been through in the past and stuff like that. I don't want to bring that up, but
Yeah.
for her to be accepted into the community and for her to collect, and you know, I just think it's brilliant, and I love it, and I'm so
And
happy for her that she can find something that she's, you know what I mean? It's awesome, and for people to
100%.
accept her as well. But yeah,
And it happens so naturally too, which I was very
yes,
shocked.
yeah,
You know, like
yeah,
you don't even have to introduce. Like, I still do introduce my wife to new people, but half the time I don't even have to. They're
mm,
introducing themselves, you know, like it's
yeah,
just such a beautiful community. And then, like, even
it is,
because we do the mutagens with the boys
yeah,
online, now I'm going to toy shows, and you probably get it being on YouTube. You go to a toy show and you've got people coming over that's like a fan that watches that and shaking your hand and saying, "God, I love the way you explain this," and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's just it's a hell of it's a good community. There's some bad out there,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
but like I do hate when you hear toy vendors, friends of ours that have stuff stolen from them at toy fairs. That really does
yeah,
hurt. But
yeah.
Such a,
Well,
it's
saying
such
that,
a
you say
small.
that. Excuse me. We the last Sandown we went to, I think it was February. And there were the two guys opposite each other, and they're both called Rob. And we've been going for years, so we get to build up a rapport with these guys, so we know them. And I was chatting to one of them, and he said one guy across Rob, he had something stolen, and then this other guy, Rob, he had something stolen. I'm just like, what are people that sad and desperate to?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's scary, and some of the vendors are so trustworthy. Like
Yeah,
this figure, like this figure here alone, that's the one I was talking about. So they're about 150 a piece, these weapons. But this figure alone's around about a $600 figure.
yeah.
And I'm not trying to sound like I'm doing well for myself, but it was just one of those purchases I had to buy at the
We
time,
all
and
do
it
it.
was
We all do it.
a good price. But
Yeah.
one of the toy vendors at a fair, he had one of them just sitting up the front in like a box full of turtle bits. And I remember when we got there that morning, I picked it out and went, "Holy hell!" And he wanted 700 for it, or 750, I think it was. And I was like, "Wow, that's crazy! I've never held one of these in my hand." We done one lap around a toy fair. I came back and I went to show. I think it was my wife was next to me. I go, "Hey, Monique, look at this! Like, we've never seen one." I went through the tub and it was gone. I looked up at our mate and I go, "Oh, you sold Hotspot?" And he goes, "No." So someone had already taken. So I just went through that tub, pulled out every expensive figure, and I go, "Mate, put them behind your counter there. Just stand them up behind the counter. Don't trust these people here, you know, because Someone
That's
just,
bad, isn't it? That
you
is
know, so
bad. It's
he
like,
was straight
come on.
up. But the beauty of it there was you really seen how the community pulled together, and
Yeah,
a bunch of boys on a turtle page offered up a bunch of toys and they raffled it off to try get him some of that money back. So it was
yeah.
beautiful to see that, you know, like because like
It is an
yeah,
absolutely awesome community. It really is.
it is.
I'm just, yeah. I mean, I've not been part of it for long, but it's so accepting, and that's what I love about it. It's just absolutely brilliant.
100%.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Do you have a Grail piece that you're after? And it doesn't have to be the most expensive thing in the world.
No, so the Grail piece I'm probably after at the moment would be two things. It's I don't know if you've seen in my pictures the My Pet Monsters that I've got, which are like a
Okay.
hand puppet plush doll sort of thing from back in the 80s and 90s.
All
And
right.
there's 2 Euro release ones of them. So I've got these are the little baby hand puppet versions. So they're not the exact My Pet Monster, but they're the brand of
Yeah.
the My Pet Monster. There's 2 released in Europe that weren't released over here. Very hard to get. So they're probably in my Grail, those 2. Like trying to hunt them down would be, yeah,
Okay.
definitely up there
Awesome.
with that. But very hard to come by. I have found them before. They're not cheap. Like, and I thought no.
What kind of
I'll like
condition would they have to be in then? I mean, because I see a lot of toys and I know what they are, but
yeah,
sometimes the condition isn't that great, but it's still going for a lot of money. Now, for me, if I want to spend that kind of money, I want it to at least be in a decent condition.
yeah,
You know, you go to these fairs and you see these, like say, for example, vintage Star Wars kind of figures, and they got the bubbles
mhm,
and stuff like that. And you got like little creases in the cards, you got the bubbles that are slightly yellowed, the figures slightly yellowed, and they're still asking like top dollar for it. And I'm
yeah,
like thinking, "Yeah, I don't,
no,
you know, I don't want to pay that money, because if I want to pay that money, I want something that's, I mean, listen, these figures are 40 years old, so it's going to have some wear and tear, but it's got to be in better condition than that if I want to part with that kind of money. Is that the same with you
100%.
with your Grail
Yeah.
piece? Yeah.
Yeah, so even with them, they come with handcuffs, so I wouldn't buy them unless they had the handcuffs, because
Yeah.
you could be spending another 150 just to buy some handcuffs, and then when it comes out, it's like with turtle figures too. A lot of the expensive ones I buy, I make sure they're complete. Bear in mind that one there, a complete version of that's well over $1,000. So
Wow.
I'm never going
Yeah.
to spend that sort of money on a figure. I just even what I spent this year, but I had the money at the time. I'd sold a couple of things, so I kind of it made it a little bit more viable for me to buy it. And I
Yeah.
said, if I don't do it now, because the prices aren't going down, they're going up more so. So I kind
Yeah.
of jumped on it at that time. But with a lot more like there's some of the expensive ones that I can afford complete, I will buy them complete, because I it's not for resale value, it's not for any of that. It's just I look at it is I'm not going to go chase down a little tiny bit of plastic and pay $60 for that one weapon. You know, that just doesn't seem smart to me. I'd rather pay the little bit of a premium price to buy a decent one
Yeah.
complete, and then I don't have to chase anything else from that
Yeah.
figure. So with the My Pet Monsters, but it is very hard because they are like a plush. They got fur. They do have some of them have like a vinyl hand which cracks up over time. That
Okay.
being said, you can repair those hands quite, I wouldn't say quite easily, but if you got a little bit of talent, you can repair them. So I'd like to have a challenge of trying to repair that, but with the actual the hair and the fur, I don't want to touch any of that sort of stuff. So I do want to
No.
buy them in
In
good
the
nick,
decent
and
condition. Yeah.
you get sun damage ones too, so they can get like
Okay.
the coloring of them can kind of go off with the sun,
Yeah.
like they get
Faded. Yeah. Yeah.
bleached a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so but that is one of the hardest things about being a collector is you'll see something and you'll be like, I've been chasing that for ages, buy, and then you're like, hold on a second, you got to take a couple of steps back.
Yeah.
Is that really a perfect example of it? Is like
Yeah.
when I see something on like I don't really purchase a lot off eBay, but I have in the past, and if something does come up that I do one in a collection that I can't find regularly, I do. But if they
Mm.
got one photo, I ain't touching it. You know, like
Yeah.
I want to see. I want to see multiple photos of the item, and I want to like we all work hard for our money. So and
Yeah,
like at
yeah,
the end of the day, toy money is just like it's only a little bit of your earnings. You can't go and
yeah.
spend a lot. You got to eat, you got to pay bills, all that
Well,
sort
that's
of
it.
stuff.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I get that.
But yeah, I don't like throwing money away at the same time. So and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I did have the mentality of buying lots. I was buying a couple of lots of stuff, and I'm like, I was just chasing. I was just chasing my tail with a lot of it stuff because like
yeah,
you get it and there'll be a piece broken, or it's very hard to tell if a leg's glued. I'd say you probably experience that with a lot of Star Wars stuff too because they can be brittle. You get it and you're
mm,
like, this has been repaired. You know, like I paid good money for it, but someone's actually
yeah,
used super glue on it or something. Yeah,
yeah,
that's why I do like feeling it. I like toy shows, buying it, those sorts of things, because you get to feel it. You get to
yeah,
see it
yeah.
with
You
your
do.
own
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
very risky
I
online.
mean, you talking about things like that. It's like I've seen at toy fairs before the blue Snaggletooth, the original Kenner one, and
Mhm.
at the time, I think when I went there, he was about well, the guy was asking 300 quid, but he had
Yeah,
scuffed boots. The silver was come off his boots. You know what I mean? He had paintwear on his hands, and I'm just thinking, oh, see, and now look, I've paid what $30-40 or whatever it was for the Stan Solo one.
yeah,
And he's great. He's got all his the paint apps are fine. No, he's not the original one, but he'll do for my collection. That's why I don't mind
exactly.
going into the. I mean, you get your purists, and I get that, and like everybody
Yeah.
collects differently, and I get that as well. But for
Mhm.
me personally, and listen, if I had money to burn, I would have. I'd get myself a £300 figure.
Yeah,
But well, look, listen, I've done it in the past with
yeah,
Yak Face and Snaggletooth. I've got those, not Snaggletooth, Yak Face and
yeah.
a Manaman. I've got those two, but that's
But
before.
you look at what they're worth now. Would you do that again? You know, because Yak Face is getting pretty high up there now. So,
Yeah, he is,
but,
and sometimes I think, do I sell off my last 17? The ones that I've got, do I sell them off?
yeah.
Because
Would
am I
you?
going to collect? I mean, well, yeah, because am I going to collect? Am I going to get the money to collect the others? I think I need about
Yeah,
8 or 9. Am I going to
yeah,
collect that? Am I going to
yeah.
complete that 96? I'd
Depends.
like to, but
Yeah,
do I go down the route of getting the rest of them as Stan Solo repros?
yeah.
Do
I
you know what I
suppose
mean?
it depends on what it does for you. If you come into your room at night or during the day, whatever time, and you look at that collection you've got there, and it
Mm.
still gives you that sort of nostalgia hit, and you
Yeah, it
don't
does,
have
without a doubt, every time.
you don't look at it and go, oh, I'm missing that piece, I'm missing that piece, I'm missing that. If I find if you're doing that all the time, you're kind of ruining the vibe of the toy for yourself. Like
Ah,
I
I
don't
don't
think
come in.
everything has to be complete.
It's one thing I'd like to do. It's one thing I'd like to do. Because when I started collecting, it was originally the original vintage Kenner figures that I was collecting, and in hindsight, I should have collected those 96 figures first
Yeah,
before I started collecting anything else. Because by now I would have completed them. But
yeah,
because I was like, oh yeah, I'd like that, I like that, I like that. It was money that could have gone on these figures, but went on
yeah.
other stuff. And now the prices have gone up, especially the last, well, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, maybe. It's gone up.
Mm.
But
That's the beauty about being a collector. You don't burn yourself out on one thing. Like so, a lot of
well,
people
yeah,
collect just
yeah,
one thing.
yeah,
Kind of, you'll burn yourself out eventually. I find with it, like turtles. I've got, I think, another 5 to collect of like the cat.
yeah.
Like I said, I was doing the characters, like just getting those certain characters and that, and then
Mm.
I'd be on to like some of the variants and stuff. But that's a long chase for me. That's why I've got other sort of like
Well, yeah. I mean, I like that. I guess with for me with the kind of figures, if I do eventually complete the 96,
Mhm.
it's about the long game.
Yeah,
So it depends. Am I going to be patient and play the long game, or do I think there's looking at the prices? There's no chance that I'm going to be getting these figures. Do I keep it as it is and have an incomplete 96, or do
hmm
I just? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Anyhow,
it's
enough about me. Let's crack on with you.
a hard one.
I've got 2 questions left for you because
Mhm.
we're at the top of the hour, but that's all good.
Yep.
What gives you that toy collecting buzz?
Um. So I guess like everyone always says, a nostalgia hit. You come home, it's a happy, it's a happy place to see your collection, and you walk in and you just like, there's only a certain amount of figures in my collection where I've got from my childhood, and they do hit me a little bit better. But I think it's just having them there to look at kind of gives me that, just that, I don't know, it just makes me happy, and just to play with some of it too, and see that, like I said before about buying that figure and I didn't know the neck extended, like having that little hit of not having it as a kid, not taking it off card, and then buying it as an adult and going, oh, it does that too. Like those sorts of little things that just they just make me happy, like it's I don't really drink or anything like that, so it's kind of like that's my little buzz in life, like collecting. I used to collect.
Cool. I mean, look, I've got a lot in common with you, absolutely. I mean, I'm not a big drinker, so I'd rather have something that I can show for my money than apart from a beer keg of a gut, but but yeah, I'm with you on that for sure.
And another,
it's funny because I was talking to Retro Oz Gamer last week, and it's really weird, isn't it? Because as a community, we're all really passionate and get excited about these little bits of plastic, and we get that nostalgia buzz when you hold a figure for the first time, and that nostalgia buzz must have come back to you when you went to your mum's and picked those total figures up.
It was killer. It was so good. And then too, like I said, with my daughter getting that party van for Christmas for her second Christmas, it was kind of like, and she got a bunch of figures too, because I can't have doubles anymore, Stu. I gotta, like, if I all my doubles go to my daughter. So like if I buy a lot now, I basically, if I want to try recoup some money, I've got to have triples of that one figure. So like I don't sell a lot, but like if I have to sell something, it has to be a triple. I can't. So she gets all the doubles. But having that sort of Christmas where we reenacted the photo of my photo from Christmas to her photo, like with the thing.
Wow.
And then also what we do is, at least we try to do it once a week with her. And it's because, like, a lot of people say, how do you have your little one around the cabinets? She's been around them ever since she was born, like with the glass cabinets and that. So she knows what's behind that cabinet is a bit more important than just being a toy. They all are all toys. She can play with them, but what we do is once a week we'll have like a turtle night. And she's now ranging into liking different toys too in the collection, but she loves the turtles. So what we do, we sit down in front of the cabinet and we pull out one piece at a time, and we might do that for about 20, 30 minutes. And she's just wow and loving it, like she's talking, she's loving every bit of it. A weapon might fall off and fall onto the floor, and she'll be like, "Oops, sorry," and hand it back like she's broke it, but she hasn't broke it.
And that is so cool.
It does get a little bit scary holding it, like handing her a figure that you paid a couple $100 for, but at the end of the day, like it's plastic, she's more important to me than any of these toys.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That her enjoying that moment with me is kind of like, it kind of makes me relive my childhood too, of me being so excited to play with these toys and get them and that too. And now I see it going through her. And to be honest, it's quite funny is she's now started to, like when we put up 2 new cabinets this week to get ready for this. We had a lot of stuff in totes, and she started going over to the cabinets, and like you could see she was getting like her little Bluey figures and wanting to try put some in the cabinets too. So she's becoming a little collector too, and it's kind of scary because it's going to cost me a fortune. But yeah,
absolutely,
those moments that I get with her doing that, and the wife's always there filming it too, because it's just a beautiful thing to see. You spare like your little one with so much excitement, like for something that you get so excited for.
That is awesome. Yeah, that is so cool. That's wow. I know you said about your daughter means everything to you and stuff like that, and rightfully so. But what does your collection mean to you?
A lot. Like it's like I said, it's a happy place. So like just seeing it, and because we do still collect Lego too, it's also experience me and my wife can do together. bear in mind having the little one, sometimes it ends up being my wife building the Lego pieces and me looking after the little one, or obviously my wife's just got more patience than me, so she'll get stuck into the Lego and that. But yeah, it means a fair bit. Like, it's just little quirky things that we do. Like, for example, as you know, Star Wars figures. We've got one Lego Star Wars piece, and we have one vintage figure, which is a Hammerhead.
Okay.
My wife's seen it, and as you know, Hammerhead's a weird looking figure, so my wife had to have it.
You get it, yeah.
But that's became like the Where's Waldo in our collection, where we hide it from each other, and then you've got to find it. So within the collection, it'll be somewhere hidden behind something, and it's just fun, you know, like it's something fun we can do together. I've got a real funny story here of I was a big collector. I used to love the TV show SWAT Cats. So they only released four figures, and it's these four. These two here are the main characters, and as you can see, they're very similar looking figures, other than the green accents. And this guy's a bit more chunkier. This is T-Bone, that's Razor. Now, what happened was these are very, very hard to find. Like, a lot of the time, you're buying these out of Italy. I don't know why, but I think they're a Hanna-Barbera make that made them, but yeah, so they're very hard to find. But what my wife did was, we seen one on an online auction, and there was a Rock Lord there, and it was coming up to Christmas time. And I said to her, I go, listen, do you want that Rock Lord? And she goes, well, you want the SWAT Cat, so we'll swap. I'll buy one, you buy the other, and then we'll wrap them up for Christmas. And I'm like, hey, we're adults, you know, we can kind of know what we're getting for Christmas, so yeah, why not? So I bought it. I had it in the collection for about 6 months there. And I'm embarrassed to say this, but one day I came home and I'm looking down at the figures, and I'm like, why is that figure there? Like, I didn't purchase that figure. It's the one with the green straps on it. So obviously it's a little bit different. You can see it. I'm like, am I having like something wrong in my brain here, where I thought I had the other one, but I've really got this one? Scratching my head, and my wife comes out. She goes, what's wrong? And I go, I'm looking at this SWAT Cat figure. I didn't have this one. I had the other one. And she goes, yeah. She goes, it's been about 2 weeks there. So what she's done is she's purchased the other one online and then swapped them in the cabinet, and I didn't even notice. So I'm sitting there, my brain was exploding. I'm like, how did I do this? How did I think I had that one, but I didn't? Yeah, so those little sort of cheeky things that she does within the collection too just make it so much more special, you know. Like, yeah, I'm lucky that she buys me certain things like that, and don't get me wrong, I'll buy her certain things, but just those little quirky, funny things that we do for each other that just make it so much more fun. Don't get me wrong, I felt like a dunce afterwards, because I'm like, God, I'm supposed to like this collection and being looking at it all the time, and I didn't even see that for 2 weeks. But it was definitely a funny moment. But good fun.
Absolutely awesome, and it's so fantastic that you can actually get to share a with your wife, and B, now you're getting your daughter involved and stuff like that. And it's absolutely fantastic. Dan, I've got to say, it's been amazing chatting to you, mate. I'm loving your enthusiasm. You really are so enthusiastic, and this conversation has just absolutely flown by, as they all do. Unfortunately, that has come to the end of the conversation. Where can people find you on social media?
So I'm just on Instagram. So on Instagram, it's Insane in the Toy Brain. My wife has just opened up a new one too, so she's Mrs. Insane in the Toy Brain. But we don't. I am on Scott Crush's YouTube channel once a month on the Mutagen stream, so that's probably the only source of YouTube you'll find me on. But yeah, I don't really have any intention to do a YouTube channel. It just seems like a lot of work, and I enjoy watching everyone else's. I ain't got time to do my own.
No worries there. But, what I'll do, Dan, is I'll put your Instagram account in the description below, the link to your Instagram account. I'll also put the link to your wife's Instagram account in the link below, description below, should I say? And I'll also put, yet again, Scott Crusher's Instagram, not Instagram account, his YouTube channel account down in the description below, so people can get to see you as well. Because it was Retro Oz Gamer last week. He was also on Scott's channel with the mutagen. So yeah. So guys, if you want to have a look at some of Dan's Instagram pics and his wife's Instagram pics, then I'll leave the link in the description below, along with Scott Crusher's YouTube account again. So you can get to see Dan. He's loving it. He's listen. I've got a lot of time for Scott and for him to do what he did, Braving the Shave. I think because he had such a lovely beard, he had such a lovely head of hair, and I was extremely jealous. But he's shaved it all off and for a good cause. So yeah, he's a top guy. He's been supportive of the channel. So the least I can do is support him as well. So not a problem. Dan, once again, mate, thank you so much for being part of this. It's been awesome chatting to you. I've had a great fun, and like I say, your enthusiasm is infectious, and it's just I'm smiling through that because it was just an awesome chatting to you, mate. So thank you very much.
And also thank you for doing this for the community, Stu. Because like,
oh no, it's okay. You don't have to.
It's a hell of a thing. Like we had a show over here called "This Is Your Life" or whatever was on TV, and you'd see how people. So for you to do this for the collection community, it's beautiful, you know, because a lot of people you bring people out of their bubble too. I find like a lot of people don't like showing their collection. They don't want to talk about it as much, or they're scared to talk about it because they think people think they're weird, you know, because it's not.
Do you know what? I think one of the reasons I did this is because I was that person. I collected, but I was an inward collector. So my wife knew, and my mum and dad, and that was probably about it. And I didn't like to show it. And then you must have heard of Scuba Pete.
Yeah.
You've heard, you know, Scuba Pete. Well, he was the one who kind of like brought me out of my shell. And awesome. I just thought, well, because I mean, a lot of people that I've spoken to on this this series, they've got YouTube channels, but there's some people that haven't, and they've never been in front of a camera before or done anything like this before. And now you can't get them off bloody live streams. They're just constantly, you know, like, yeah, but listen, it's great. And everybody's got a story. And I think it's good that people can tell their story. They can show off their collection, and there's nothing to be ashamed about. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. You know, it's like you say. And I was having this conversation with Retro Oz Gamer last week, and we were saying that people that don't collect, I don't think they understand the nostalgia and the feeling and the love that us collectors do have. You know, especially when it comes to vintage toys, because it takes us back to our childhood. It takes us back to a simpler time. Do you know what I mean? A happier, well, I'll say happier time, an easier time, should I say, and where we didn't have any worries and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. And you get that click of a memory of something that you've forgotten about for so long.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And listen, I mean, we're geeks. Who cares? You know what I mean? That was one thing that I was embarrassed about, because I didn't want to talk about this sort of thing in front of people that didn't know that I collected. And now I don't care. People at work know. I mean, it took them a year to know that I had a channel. And when I did find out, it was, and I said, look, they said, why didn't you say anything? And I said, because this is something I enjoy doing out of work. I don't want people like taking the piss or this, that, and that. I don't want that. This is something I enjoy doing. And as soon as I said it's something I enjoy doing out of work, they were like, whoa, that's fine. Okay. They subscribed to the channel and they've been supportive. And it's, do you know what I mean? And
you've probably got a couple of people in on it now too, you know, like it's all about planting the seed sometimes with people. Like, people might laugh at what you've got, but then you'll be like, well, what hobbies have you got? And they're like, oh, wait, I haven't got any.
Yeah, exactly. And they probably had toys as kids as well.
Of course they did.
Maybe they're the kind of people that are sitting there and they're taking the mick and they're giving it the old Billy Big Bollocks. And yet they've got a collection as well, but they're just too embarrassed to say anything about it. But listen, all I can say is to people, do not be ashamed, embarrassed that you collect. Be proud. Be a proud collector. Enjoy what
we
you
only
do.
live once. Do you?
Harm. Yeah, absolutely. Anyhow, Dan, awesome chatting to you, mate. For those of you who have stayed to the end, once again, a massive thank you. Appreciate your support. Appreciate you watching. Take care. Stay safe. And we shall see you in the next one. Bye for now.